Sanibona, ngaphambi singene kwivideo namuhla, ngithi angithathe lethuba ngibonge isupport nothando nesikhombise lona lingaphezu kokucabanga kwethu. Siyacela niqhubeke nisupporte njalo ngokubuka amavideo ethu, ungakhohlwa ukukhomenta, ushare, ulike. Siyafisa ukuzwa umbono wakho. Sicela ke singene kwivideo namuhla. Ad hoc committee le efuneka ibheke izinsolo lezi ezabekwa uLieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi ngomhla ka-6 kuJulayi 2025 ibihlangene ePhalamende namuhla lapho bebedingida indaba ezithize. Sizokhumbula ukuthi bebefuna uLieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi afike, kwathola ukuthi useze wahlela ukuthi uzovela kwi-commission kaMadlanga kuqala. Ilesikhathi kuvele khona uCIC ethi no saphina azovela lapha, hayi kodwa ke bangavumelana naleso sinqumo leso. Bayahlela ukuthi bazomisa kanjani ngoba useqedile futhi ke ufakazi wabo wokuqala uyena fakazi ohamba phambili. Enkulumeni yakhe ke noma ebufakazini bakhe kade bethula kwi-commission kaMadlanga umenshine imember ye-DA yokuthi Dion Kolapanati, cabanga ukuthi ngimmeze kahle. So umenshine lo mama loyo nezinto azibona yena ukuthi uzenzile zingamaphutha. So umama lo uyi-alternative member ye-ad hoc committee. So lapha eParliament kufuna kuyakhulunywa ke namuhla ukuthi kuzokwenziwa njani. Ngabe umama lo funeka shenxe angasabi ingxenye ye-ad hoc committee ukuze ngoba phela usekuwumuntu manje nayo sekufuneka ayithule ubufakazi bakhe, ethule uhlangothi lwakhe, kuzwakale kwelakhe iside ukuthi yena uthini ngale nkulumo lezi ezibekwe Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Into esizoyenza la, sizocaphuna ke leyo meeting. Sizocaphuna nje leyo meeting siza ukuthi ithini iDA, athina amanye ama-political party ngalolo daba. Kudaba olubaluleke kakhulu ngoba nayo ad hoc committee izobheka lezi nsolo futhi ad hoc committee iphethwe iParliament. I-report yabo bazoyisa kwi-National Assembly. Ayifani ne-commission kaMadlanga. I-commission lena ama-findings wayo they are non-binding. Okwesibili azonikezwa upresident, uyena ozodecide ukuthi wenze njani ngawo, kodwa laba bayisa straight eParliament. So kuhlukile, ayincikile ke kumuntu oyedwa ukuthi athathe isinqumo. Angeke kuncike kube ingakho bethe kuze ingasiphindi induku yashaya kwizondo commission akwenziwe i-ad hoc committee ezobhekana nalezi insolo kuphela ukuze izokwazi ukuthi ihambisane necommission, ukuze makungenzeka upresident enze lokho adume ngakho kokuthi udaba lifike lihlale edeskini lakhe lilinde ukuthi yena aza decide ukuthi wenze njani ngalo, kodwa kube kuqhubeka nokuthi kube khona izinto ezenzekayo. Yingakho ke ubezwa beyibeka le ndaba. Ibalulekile ke lento esizoyikhuluma la. Athi ngicaphuna ukuthi kuthiwena eParliament mhlambe ngizophawula uma sebeqedile bona. Ngiyakufisa kuza ukuphawula kwakho ukuthi wena uthini kulolu daba okukhulunywa ngalo la. Ngiyafisa ukuza ukuphawula kwakho. Ungakhohlwa ukusubscribe, ushare, ulike, ucomment.
However, it's our view that it would set a very dangerous precedent to just ask the Honourable Kola Barnard to withdraw because she has been mentioned by General Mkhwanazi. It would be the easiest thing in the world for any of the witnesses at the commission to mention any politicians that they felt like mentioning, simply to ensure that they then could not sit on this committee and have to deal with them when they came to this committee. It's the easiest way in the world to avoid being confronted. So I think it's a very dangerous precedent. Currently, there is no evidence of a conflict, except what General Mkhwanazi has said. So I propose that we deal with it as follows, Chair, in order to be fair to everybody. That we call Mkhwanazi to the committee, as we plan to do, and that you, Chairperson, instruct him to deal with the narrow issue relating to the matters that caused him to mention the Honourable Kola Barnard. And that as a committee, we deal with that narrow issue first. If there's evidence of a conflict, obviously the Honourable Kara Barnard must withdraw. If after we've dealt with the issue, there is no evidence of a conflict, then that matter should be put to bed, and Honourable Kara Barnard should rejoin this committee to carry on with the rest of his evidence. I think that would satisfy any perception of a conflict, and it would safeguard the integrity of the work of the committee. We should also bear in mind, Chairperson, that Honourable Kara Barnard is an alternate member. She's not going to be able to participate as fully as the other members, and the outcome of this committee is not solely reliant upon her views. So in other legal opinions in similar matters, those points have carried a lot of weight. A, that she's not a fully participative member, and B, that the outcome of this committee does not rely solely on her views. So that is what I propose, Chairperson, that we do to deal with this possibly perceived conflict. Thank you.
Okay, so you are suggesting that we should wait for that evidence to come before the committee.
I'm
And
suggesting, Chair, that when we call...
if it is established that indeed there is a conflict of interest.
I'm suggesting, Chair, that to avoid any possibility of compromising the integrity of the work of the committee, that when we call Makwanazi, we deal first with the issues that relate to Kara Barnard.
Yeah.
She will not be present for that part of the sitting.
Yeah.
And once we have determined whether or not there is a conflict, that will determine whether she returns to the committee or doesn't return.
Okay.
Thank you.
Honorable members, you have heard the presentation of the DA that in any event, General Mkhwanazi is the first witness that will be appearing before this committee. So let's hear what will be said, and then once he has made a presentation before us, and that Honorable Barnard will not be present in those proceedings, and then we will thereafter discuss and determine whether there will be a conflict of interest and make a decision on the further participation of Honorable Barnard in this committee. Can I then rotate the ANC?
No, thanks, Chair. Let me just let me make the intervention on behalf of the ANC. I think the first point I want to raise is that as I listen very carefully to Honorable Breckenbach, I'm very concerned with what appears to me to be a path that he's inviting us into, because she makes the point that seeks to suggest that there might be an intention by certain people, and in this case, because we're talking about Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi to be Mkhwanazi, to call out certain names merely to exclude them in the participation in the ad hoc committee. Now, I have a challenge with that. And I have a challenge in particular because I was hoping that all of us were following in one way or the other the presentation by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi in relation to the matter in question, the role that he explained to have been played by the Honorable Kara Barnard. Now, when the suggestion is made that we are possibly becoming, we are likely to become victim of bad people who are going to mention our names or any of our colleagues merely to exclude them in the process, I think that position is predicated on a wrong approach, on a wrong premise. I don't agree with that approach. However, I do agree with the fact that when your name has been mentioned, there must be a process through which you can get cleared. If you are a member of this committee, alternate or full member, and your name is mentioned, it's only fair that you wait, because I don't think the determination as to whether the submission to be made by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi carries substantial or otherwise in terms of evidence will be merely determined. That determination will be merely done on the basis of his own presentation alone. What comes in my mind is that effectively, when you are mentioning the way in which the honourable member was mentioned, and I would imagine that's a reason why other parties or other colleagues in this committee have already suggested that she must be part of the witnesses. It's inevitable that you are supposed to be given a platform to state your own side of the story. And in this case, you are then going to become one of the witnesses that must appear before the ad hoc committee. So I don't agree with the view that says, have Mkhwanazi today, as I understood to be the proposal, have Mkhwanazi today, listen to him, and immediately make a determination upon listening to him whether there is substantial evidence to justify the exclusion of the honorable member from the ad hoc committee. I would prefer that we take a principled position in which we say, you are mentioned, and a particular evidence, if whether that evidence is accepted or not accepted, has been laid against your name. You can't be a referee and a player. You can't serve on the committee at which somebody is coming to raise concerns about your conduct, your act of omission or commission. Unless the process has run its course with you having had an opportunity to present your side of your story, then the committee makes a determination that the allegations against you are frivolous, are unsubstantiated, without evidence, and so there are no basis to exclude you from participation in the committee. But I don't agree with an approach that says you must be given a priority, because that's the implication of what is being said is that it means we must listen to Mkhwanazi and listen to Honorable Kolapanat. Because I can't understand why would we be only listening to Mkhwanazi and making a decision that he's wrong or right, he has evidence or not, without having cross-reference to the person to whom the allegations are leveled against. So I don't think that is the sequence of witnesses we have agreed we are going to follow as we deal with the matters before the ad hoc committee. So it is on those bases that I think we need to take a principled position. This is an alternate member, not a full-time member of the committee. Even if it was, there's no harm in us agreeing that as a matter of principle, you have automatically become a candidate to appear before this committee. So you can't play both, which is a player as well as a referee in this case. Never mind whether at the end of this process, evidence will be qualified to suggest that you have acted wrongly or rightly. There are many people who are like that who will appear before our committee. And some of them later on, we may discover that actually their names were being dragged into the mud without any substantial evidence to qualify what would have been presented to us. But I think for us to do our work objectively, we've got to treat all witnesses almost in the similar way in terms of the role they can and cannot play in that committee of parliament. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Chief Whip. Let me invite the MKP.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Once again, no, Chair, our position is very clear on this one. The member in question must be excused from this committee because, one, all the witnesses that we have agreed upon and all the witnesses that have held consultations with the legal team are witnesses which are based on the testimony that was made by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. And we agreed on some witnesses even before he appeared before the Madlanga Commission. You would recall that during a press briefing, Mkhwanazi did mention some members of parliament. He did not mention them by their names. And at that time, he did not know that there will be a committee. There will be an ad hoc committee. He didn't know. We just went to the press briefing and said there are members also who are implicated. Now, Chairperson,
The data of the MKP is depleted. That's why I said ish.
Yeah, I had the ish part at the end.
So
It
are,
doesn't.
are you done, Honorable Nomvalo? Are you done?
I think Chair he's got a problem of a network. He'll come back. Thank you.
No,
What
it's
are-
not
so,
that. The data
so,
deleted.
Chairperson,
Jali, how do
yes.
you conclude? Yes, Nomvalo, are you back?
Yes, I'm back, Chair. Apologies.
Thank you so much.
It kicked me out. Can I
Yeah,
continue?
you see, this. Let me tell you the problem you are going to have. The last time I had a problem like this one, you laughed at me.
Isondolo liyajikeleza.
Yeah, Chair,
and,
he even said you must excuse yourself as Chair.
and I can tell you it's going to be worse with you.
No, so
So
Chair,
that-
I was saying, Chairperson, that the majority of witnesses to which we agreed as this committee to come and appear before this committee are witnesses from which we drew on the testimony of General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. That was made in a press briefing. And at that time, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi didn't even know what actions will be taken by Parliament or by the executive. He didn't know that there will be an ad hoc committee. So it can't be an issue that there are members. We can't fundraise narratives and say maybe some members, we can't generalize this and say some members are going to be mentioned because there is an attempt to exclude them from this committee. We can't generalize this. This is based on the testimony of General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and from what we observe on his testimony, there was no intention to exclude anybody before this committee because he didn't even know that this committee is going to be formed. So Chairperson was saying, in this context, and considering the background that I've outlined, the member must be excused from this committee, and we must request the DA to bring another member because the manner in which he was mentioned requires us to call him before the committee, and he became a person of interest. So we can't ignore that. So our view, Chairperson, is that he must be excluded and the DA must bring another person. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we move to the EFF?
Thank you very much, Chair. The EFF does not agree that the Honorable Member Paula Bernard must withdraw herself on the basis of being mentioned without any evidence being laid. That's number one. Number two, I don't even know why this matter finds itself on our table now. Because it can be that because our member was mentioned in the commission, he must recuse herself. And then when they come to our committee, our member doesn't get mentioned. And they even say perhaps on a hindsight we realize it was not necessary to mention him in a manner or her in a manner we did. There is no matter before you. So you can't reduce this committee to be a subcommittee of the commission. That everything else that is happening in the commission must happen in our committee. There is a commission for whatever reason. There is this other committee for whatever reason. So it can't be that a person just gets mentioned loosely and then we get overwhelmed. There's still a lot of people who are going there. And Honorable Brandenburg is correct. Yeah, there's still a lot of people who are going there. We'll sponsor your name there. Your name, that the fact that she was not mentioned, she was mentioned in the press conference, and then the committee happened after the press conference. Therefore, they don't want to exclude her. When a testimony was given, the committee was already there. So we're talking about her being mentioned while the committee was in existence to tell us about the press conference which happened before the testimony in the commission to dismiss an honorable member. It's wrong. Honorable Kola Barnett must take a conscious decision herself if she so feels that, you know what, in the meantime, let me take a back seat because I don't know where, that in her own conscience, I don't know where this thing will lead to. But for you to take a name of a member and put it on the table and discuss it the way you are discussing it, even when it is not put by anyone before you on the table, that your member is conflicted, and then there is an area of conflict. And none of us is speaking about a conflict because recusal must be on the basis of conflict. No one says, here is the conflict. No one can establish the conflict, but we are readily available to go to get the member. Even we have no evidence before us, even when our member is not mentioned before our committee, and even when we look at the issue, none of us is pointing at conflict of interest. So I'm very sorry, I'm not part of such a arrangement where rights of people get humiliated and violated the way we want to do it. It's wrong. I disagree, Chair.
Are you done, EFF?
Yes.
The IFP.
Honorable Chairperson, I'm inclined to agree with the last speaker because the name of the Honorable Kola Barnett was actually mentioned in another forum. It has actually not been mentioned before this committee. We don't know what Mr. Mkwanazi's evidence going to say in relation to Kola Barnett's name, whether it's still there or not. I would actually say that until such time that the Lieutenant General Mkwanazi mentions the name of Honorable Barnett before this committee, it will only be then, it will be fair to us and to her to actually deal with that matter when it is actually being presented to us as this committee. But for us to act on the basis of a name that was actually thrown elsewhere, then I think it would be a bit unfair to her. We would actually, some people might say we are actually acting on the basis of hearsay because there is nothing substantive that actually has been put before this committee where Honorable Kola Barnett is a member or is an alternate member. So I also am not very comfortable to take a position that actually would say she must withdraw herself or withdraw herself from this committee.
Okay. The PA.
Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, this entire committee and the entire commission was formed on the basis of a press conference by General Mkhwanazi, and the witnesses that are being called is simply on the basis of the names mentioned in a press conference. In this instance, the name of Honorable Barnard was not mentioned at a press conference. It was mentioned under oath. Even this forum carries even more weight than the press conference that has caused the commission and the committee, the ad hoc committee, to be formed. So, therefore, Honorable Barnard must withdraw herself from the committee. And like all the other witnesses, should be provided an opportunity, or other persons of interest should be provided an opportunity to respond to the allegations made against her. And I must also add, by ending, Chairperson, it is also wrong for the DA to dictate to us which person of interest must be prioritized or we must start with when we hear the testimony. It should be free flow as we have prepared for it. So that is our position, Chairperson. Thank you.
Okay. Can I get the reply of the DA?
Sure, Chair. Thank you. Nobody prescribed anything to anyone. I suggested to you a possible way forward. It's up to you and the committee what they do with it. There's no dictating of anything to anyone. I would never presume to do that. I don't believe that it's necessary for the Honourable Kolobano to withdraw at this stage.
Okay. Chief Whip, is your hand up?
Yes, Chair, it is up.
Honorable Cameron, is your hand up?
Yes, Chair.
Honorable Nola, is your hand up?
Yes, it's up, Chair.
Who else wants to raise a hand? Okay, so I'm going to take the three of you as the last on this matter. Can I start with you, Chief Whip?
No, Chair, I thought it's important that I must raise this matter in the meeting because it is worrying me. It's really worrying me, and I hope that as a committee we will have a way in which we act with some degree of consistency and respect for some principles. There is quite a few names that were added here today, which we were not able to finalize, primarily because the ANC has proposed, among other things, that we will also want to make a submission in line with the earlier decision by Friday. Some of these names that are being mentioned here, they are being proposed on the basis, and it was argued here by the Honorable Malema, that this name was mentioned by Mkhwanazi. Now, I am concerned when there would be certain names that are mentioned by Mkhwanazi and others, which we must add on the list. There are certain names that are mentioned by Mkhwanazi and others, which we should exclude from the list because they are merely mentioned and we do not want to appear as if we're a subcommittee of the Commission of Inquiry. I share the view that we are not, and we have no intention to become a subcommittee of the Commission of Inquiry. We are a committee of parliament and we're exercising our authority in line with the Constitution of the Republic. But I think to suggest that, and I think the point that has been made very well by Honorable Souls, from the Patriotic Alliance, it's a very, very, very formidable point when he says you are no longer dealing with matters that were mentioned in the press conference. You are also now dealing with names as mentioned under oath. And I think as members of parliament, I understand us to respect the oath that we too have taken to become members of parliament. So I thought it's important to raise that issue, Chair. I would not have been comfortable to go home without having made that observation. And I want to insist that when we say what we've said about these names, we have no intention to submerge this important committee of parliament under the authority or the ambit of the Commission of Inquiry. Thanks.
Okay. Honorable Cameron.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, so two things. First of all, I want to say that I agree with what the Honourable Breitenbach said. And I think if we are going to raise perceived conflict, it's important then that we speak about that, then there might be other members too. I would like to start with the Honourable Deco, who in the latest one, if you go and read, for example, in the book, The Shadow State by Jeff Wicks, and you work through it, it was implicated in significant matters where allegations were made, and very, very serious allegations. And I believe it was written about previously too. So if we're going to go down this road before something has appeared before the committee with justifiable evidence, then each and every one of the members on the committee need to go through some kind of a vetting process before we could move forward. So I think we may be jumping the gun. I don't agree with the comment about the oath just now. I never thought I would say so, but I sound like the Honourable Breitenbach when I say that I'm agreeing with Honourable Malema today. But it just doesn't. It seems to me that there's a double standard with this, significant double standard. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Nola.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I also want to plead to the committee that we must be consistent. We have just approved an addendum of potential witnesses. And those witnesses are on the basis of what would have been the testimony of General Mkhonazi in the Judicial Commission. And amongst those witnesses that we have added, Chair, is Honorable Kola Barnard, whom was not mentioned on the press briefing of the 6th of July. And amongst those witnesses, Chair, is President Ramaphosa, who was not mentioned on the press briefing of the 6th of July. But they got added here by members of this committee on the basis of being mentioned in the Judicial Commission. Now, it is incorrect to suggest that people should not recuse themselves on the basis of just being merely being mentioned in the Judicial Commission, whereas the same committee has actually added witnesses on the basis of being mentioned in the Judicial Commission. Honorable Barnard is number one in the addendum of witnesses that we have added, which we have all agreed upon here. Now, my view, Chair, is that we should be consistent. It's either we also remove all those who were added as witnesses in the addendum of witnesses on the basis that they were mentioned in the Commission of Inquiry. They should be removed if Honorable Barnard is not going to recuse herself. Also, Chair, the testimony is clear that Honorable Barnard has formulated her own views about whatever is an alleged syndicate that is operating within the criminal justice system. And the Oxford Dictionary, Chair, makes a very clear and a simple definition of what a conflict of interest is. That if you are to benefit...
Honorable Nola, I want to dissuade you. Let's not go into the merits and demerits. let's just discuss the matter at the elementary level.
That's fine, Chair. So the point we're making is consistency as when we are in the preliminary stages is very important. That we have added witnesses on the basis of being mentioned in the Judicial Commission, but we want to denounce now what has been said to the Judicial Commission on the basis of we are not a subcommittee. Yes, we are not. But if that what it should mean, it means therefore that we must reattend to the potential witnesses that we have actually added. Chair, we want to move again. We understand, which I think is fair, what has been submitted by Honorable Breitenberg. And Chair, you must actually take cognizance to the fact that it's not only on the basis of mentioning. Honorable Breitenberg was mentioned. Honorable Cameron was mentioned. Honorable Barnard was mentioned. Honorable Adams was mentioned. But it's on the basis of the context at which members have been mentioned. It's not just because they were mentioned, then they must be called. It's the context at which they were mentioned in the Judicial Commission proceedings. Now, Chair, we want to reiterate our point that we don't want to set the ad hoc committee work in a cul-de-sac. Anyone would want to take our findings, Chair, to a judicial review can simply do that on the basis that we set an ad hoc committee proceedings with people who are fingered to have played part in whatever that is being alleged. So the fact-finding mission, Chair, must be clean and meticulous. So we are just saving Parliament from a potential embarrassment. So that's what we're just pleading with members. It's a plea, Chair, that it's correct that it is actually voluntary, the recusal. Want to plead with the Honorable Breitenberg and the members of the DA in the ad hoc committee that can they, for purposes of the integrity of the proceedings of this ad hoc committee, recuse Honorable Barnard and replace her with someone else, so that we don't see the work that we've done all this time being reversed on the basis of a potential conflict and all those things. Thank you very much, Chair.
Ngoba duzwa la eParliament kukhulunywa kuphambene imbono ngoba iDA ithi yona uGeneral Mkhwanazi akazange athule ubufakazi obungenza ukuthi imember yabo kungathiwa ayishenxe kwicommittee ingasabi ingxenye ngoba njengoba lapha alternate member uma kuma members weDA kukhona nenkinga afuna yena take over angenelele kodwa bathi laba ngoba yena usemenshiniwe lapha ya kwi-commission futhi kwathiwa kune party ayidlalile wakhipha information abekungafanele ayikhiphe intelligence. So ngaleso sizathu sekufuneka ukuthi abe on the other side. Sekufuneka abe ngale manje kwetafula lapho kufuneka athule ubufakazi bakhe khona naye aveze lakhe side as defend. Manje akakwazi ukuthi abe njengoba Dash ubaba uNtuli umuntu umsentuli ukuthi akakwazi ukuthi ube yiplayer uphinde ube ureferee. It's impossible. So into efuneka yenzeke yena nje akaziphumele amele eceleni kufa komunye umuntu weDA yena ngoba sefuneka aziprove ephuzweni lika Malema elithi akufanelanga ukuthathwe i-committee bese ngathi i-ad hoc committee thathwe bese ngathi i-subcommittee noma ingaphansi kweMadlanga Commission. Ngiyamthanda lo bhuti lo okhulume ngayo la egcineni bebhale eqola nxola angimazi kahle ngithandile indlela abeke ngayo wathi uma kunjalo nalamanye ama-potential witness njengo-President Cyril Ramaphosa nabanye akababalile abasuswa phela kwilist ngoba amagama abo avela emveni kokwi-testimony kaGeneral Mkhwanazi. Why makufuneka kube ubizwe uPresident Ramaphosa afuna kuvunyelwane kodwa makufuneka kuthathwe isinqumo lesi sekuthiwa no asisi-subcommittee ilonto le abayibuzayo ukuthi ebeze bathi no asibe consistent uma sithatha inqumo. And u-Ashley Souls ukhipha iphuze elibaluleke kabi eliveza elithi bonke abantu ababizwa kwi-commission babizwa ngoba kunama allegations enziwa uGeneral Mkhwanazi ngabo yingakho bebizwa ukuthi abavele kwe-ad hoc committee. Even nama terms of reference wabo asho njalo, abantu ababizwayo babizwa ngoba kunama allegations enziwa uLieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi ngabo yingakho kufuneka nabo bezokwethula iside labo. There are two sides to serve a story. There are two sides. Kuyaziwa konke lokho. So ileyo nto leyo abayivezayo ukuthi cha, futhi akekho umuntu ongamphoqa kodwa kukuye i-decision efuneka ayithathe yena. Angithi uyazazi ukuthi ayikho into errong ayenzile. Uzonikwa ithuba lokuthi aziphendulele kwi-committee asho ukuthi cha, yena ayikho into errong ayenzile, lento esho uGeneral Mkhwanazi ngaye ne-information ayibhala ngoba lento le yakhuluma nga ikhona website ye-DA kodwa funeka asho ukuthi wayibhala ngoba kwenze njani, kwakwenzakalani esezikhulumela yena. Uma umuntu ongazi uyitshela ukuthi uCIC uJulius Malema akayithanda i-DA. Ungazi uyitshela ukuthi asikho isinqumo esiyothathwa i-DA abe against so abe avumelane naso sengithi abe against so njengomuntu oveza ukuthi akayithanda i-DA. Ziyafika ikhathi lapho khona noma abantu bangayizitha lapha eParliament kodwa uma kunephuzu abavumelana koluzobabona bemndawone. Angifuni futhi ngale nkulumo bese kuvela sengathi uCIC uyishaya ngapha ishaya ngapha kwelinye side akayifuni i-DA kodwa manje simbona uyayidefend i-DA. Iphuzu elibekwayo uyahambisana ne-DA. Lokho akubenzi ukuthi kuthiwa bavumelana ngakho konke. Kuyafana ne-MK Party. MK Party kulokhu ivumelana ne-ANC kodwa siyazi ukuthi bayizitha lezi zangempela. So angifuni le nkulumo igcine sesi-interpreta kabi. Asikhulume nje ngenkulumo njengoba injalo. Cela ukuzokuphala kwakho la ku-comment section. Wena ngokubona kwakho ikuphi okufuna kwenzeke? Akaphume ku-ad hoc committee ngoba esezoba i-potential witness. Esezoba i-witness phela funeka azothula iside lakhe. Okanye akaqhubeke uzophinde futhi abe witness ngoba ukumentionwa kwakhe uGeneral Mkhwanazi njengoba esho nje lo baba ukuthi Ian Cameron umenshiniwe, umama lo Britenbach umenshiniwe. So njoba bemenshiniwe kodwa asikho isidingo sokuthi bazothula ubufakazi ngoba azikho insolo ezibekiwe ngabo. Azikho insolo ezibekiwe ngabo. Ngicela ukuzokuphala kwakho la ku comment section. Mina nawe bese sidibana kwe video elandelayo, ngiyabonga.